Greetings, travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of the Dice Roll. Last we left off, our group was heading towards Lesrin, having survived an encounter with the Skaven forces of Volomir. What secrets will our group uncover today? Find out in this episode of Pen and Paper.
With the forest left ablaze behind you, and your trek southward growing ever longer, you guys continue along the river. Eventually, after walking for a good couple hours and the sun beginning to rise, you are able to see the glimmer of what should be a town or city on the bend, where you guys have crossed into Sunplant territory. So,
heavily.
As you guys continue your walk southward towards Lesrin, looking for a town, eventually you hit a part of the forest where it just seems brighter, greener, and almost more well cared for. You guys are now in Lesrin. You guys have landed in a smaller town. You guys have landed in the city of Mothin. So, Evan, from what you heard from the merchant guard, where he was down here near the border of the kingdom of Foldridge.
Whoa, with a big S and R about to meet in between that.
So you guys are here, and the town the merchant guard was in was down here near the border.
How far away is that?
It is about 2 days travel from where you are to here.
On foot?
Maybe, 2 to 3 days travel on foot.
We know where we're going. We don't need to stay in this city, so we could get ourselves some horses or a wagon.
Yes,
And
I
start
think we should
making
get a
our way
wagon.
towards the actual town we need to be.
You guys wander the streets for a bit as you push further and further into the city towards the outer wall that heads to the southern part of the kingdom. You guys come across what looks to be the place you're looking for, a general merchant store with a stable outside with near a dozen horses kind of grazing in a paddock around the shop.
So with the find steed spell, I don't have that equipped, but like, is that just indefinite? It says there's a casting time of 10 minutes, but it says duration is instantaneous. Is it just, I just have it forever?
Yeah,
Until it dies,
you summon a horse.
All right.
Nice.
All right, can I summon just a shape of a dire wolf? Like how, because my god is Lunas.
You got a choice. All right, you know what? I'll allow it. There's no reason not to.
Okay, cool. And then Celestial, Fey, or Fiend?
That means you're choosing the creature type. Since it's a summoned creature, it's either a Celestial, a Fey, or a Fiend. I would say probably Fey would be the best choice.
Okay.
Because it matches along with the god.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Fey.
Okay. So,
Got a wolf now. Yeah.
Shepherd kind of sits and he stands for a minute and begins his prayer, and a nearby bush rustles and out walks a very large-looking wolf, and it walks up to you and it nuzzles your hand. And a saddle sits upon its back.
All right, so he summoned a dog that he's gonna ride.
It's a good dog.
I'm fine with walking.
So one horse.
All right. You step into the shop. It's just your regular general store, and there stands a large orcish man. He goes, welcome to my shop. How can I help you today?
Hello, sir. I'm looking to rent a fine steed.
I don't do rents. I only do buy.
All right.
How can I trust you to bring it back?
That's reasonable.
I'm a
All right.
reasonable man.
Right. I'll give him 1 gold piece for the base horse, and then what saddles do you have?
If you're just looking for a general saddle with regular tack and everything that you'd need with it, it would run you a full gold piece, and that comes with food and water for the horse as well.
Alrighty, we'll do that then. 2 in
Sounds
total. Here you go.
All right, 2 gold pieces, and I'll have one of my stable boys, and he leans to the back and he goes, Lee, go get a horse, a big one. And he turns back to you, and he goes, all right, he'll have it for you outside, and we'll get the tack and everything ready for you as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, pleasure doing business. A horse for you, large man. Dang, Minotaur. God, you're big. Horse for you,
I think I'm good.
and for you.
I am fine as well.
Oh, well, pleasure doing business. Good luck with the horse.
Thank you.
So, you guys just saddling up and heading out?
Yep.
Yep.
You guys approach the gates. The guards quickly wave you through. And you are out into the wilderness of Lesren. Before you lies a cobbled road that runs off into the distance as far as the eye can see. Your guys' travel towards Severin, it goes unimpeded. Your travel through the countryside is as relaxing and restful as a walk through the countryside can be. And as you guys approach the town of Severin, you see smoke rising in the distance, but it's too much smoke to be cook fires and campfires and those of hovels. The smoke in front of you is smoke, Shepherd, you have seen before. This is the smoke of a ruined town, of a burnt village, and lives lost. And as you guys crest the final hill, the town that was Severin lies before you in ruin. The walls that used to surround it, it was a small palisade, it wasn't a big stone wall, but it seems the logs itself have been ripped out of the ground, and the way into the city lies open from many, many different areas where gates are not supposed to be. And the town inside has been burnt to ash. Almost no buildings left standing, and you can see the keep itself was recently ablaze. As you ride closer, the putrid stench of burnt wood and burnt bodies hits your nose full force.
Vomit.
Yeah, just it's
Still
bringing
full riding.
back harsh memories of a life that you would wish you left behind, as the city that was Severin lies before you in absolute ruin. It's not ablaze anymore. Most of the fires have gone out. You can now see a couple of the houses are still smoldering and burning, but most of the fire has gone out.
Okay. Can I see anybody? Like any?
At this point, now that you're closer, as you circle the city, every once in a while you'll get a glimpse and you'll see a person or a straggler here or there that seems to be picking through the ruins.
Like they're scavenging, or like they're
Like
searching for?
They're searching for lost loved ones, and you can see loved ones lining the street. You see there are bodies in the street, and that putrid stench of burning bodies, you can see a lot of them have started to be collected and piled in certain areas and set ablaze.
Okay.
To get rid of all of the corpses. As you can see, there are quite a few of them.
I'm just gonna go help.
Right.
Search for bodies.
Okay.
I'm gonna head towards the keep.
You're heading towards the keep.
I should head towards the keep too.
Keep. He's helping in the streets. Are you helping in the streets or going to the keep?
I'm gonna help and investigate through the streets.
Okay.
Because I want to ask around.
All right, you are up first. As you finally break the barrier of the walls of Lesren and you ride into the streets, you can see that the devastation here is absolute. There is almost no houses left standing. Almost everything has been burnt and demolished to the ground, as if whoever destroyed this place wanted it to be erased off the map. As you ride through the streets, the occasional person you do see takes a quick glance at you and your armor and the wolf you ride upon, and whoever you see, you don't see for long as they scurry somewhere into a shadow, trying to hide.
They fearful?
From what you can tell, they're absolutely terrified of whatever you are.
I'm gonna dismiss the steed
Okay.
for now.
After a little bit of searching, you finally come across an older man who is sifting through the rubble of what you can assume was once his home, and just kind of this sad clawing as he's just pulling apart bricks and rubble. He doesn't really seem to take notice of you coming up to him.
Is there anybody near that's
He's by
hurt?
himself, from what you can see.
Is he wounded?
You can see that there's a trickle of blood running down his temple, but he doesn't seem to even take notice of it.
I'm gonna lay on hands for 2 points, just enough to be like, hey buddy,
Yeah.
here you go.
You touch him and he turns and he's like, "Oh, thank you, sir. I'm sorry I did not see your presence approaching." And you can see the dust has been traced with tears as he's obviously been crying.
Who's responsible for this bloodshed, destruction?
I don't know who or why. It was 2 moons ago now. they came. It was these hordes of these rat creatures. They swarmed the walls. There was nothing we could do, and by the time I was awake, half the town was already ablaze. These rats were running through the street. Whoever stood in their way, or women, children, animal alike, they would cut down and slaughter there. They didn't ask for anything. They weren't searching. I never even saw them go into the houses. They stayed outside and just torched them all. They seemed to be guided almost. I caught a glimpse of a taller man here or there who was not one of these rats.
Do you look like a drow?
A drow.
Elven?
I was too scared to look. I peeked when I could, but when my house caught blaze, I ran into the streets and I hid.
It's okay.
And he just begins to break down
embrace
in
him.
your arms.
Just-
and he's just sobbing quietly into your shoulder.
I feel like, I'm just gonna, for the rest of the turn, just like help
Yeah,
Brown.
just kind of help him. Right? Porter.
Yeah, as I make my way into town, I'm going to start just like looking for people like near any like wreckage, but just in general, anyone.
You see a lot of people. There are just dead lining the streets. It seems almost everyone who was in a house was either killed in the house or killed in the streets. And those lucky few that did survive now are left to search among the ruins for nothing. Every once in a while, you do spot the occasional dead Skaven, killed in the melee somehow.
Yeah, I check like if they have that symbol on them.
All of them have the same marking on them.
Yeah, so then I instantly know like why this was raided.
Yeah. It takes you a little bit of searching, but eventually you come across a woman that is just kind of cradling a child in her arms, and the child is... and she's just looking down at him, just sobbing. She doesn't even register your presence. Even as you stand right in front of her, she doesn't even seem to notice that you're there.
Am I anywhere near this?
You're close-ish. As you are looking around and helping this old man, you're able to spot Porter throughout the wreckage.
I'll kneel down and I'll just place a hand on her shoulder.
She looks up. Her eyes are bloodshot, and her face is just coated in tears. And she's like,
You are in pain. I understand, but you and your child are alive. There is nothing more powerful than resilience. I know someone who could help your child, but...
and she looks at you, and you see the first glimmer of hope that has been in this woman's eyes for the past 2 days. Please help my son.
We will do everything we can.
Thank you. And she just goes back to kind of rocking the kid as he's just...
Yeah. I'll kind of like hold on to her and like raise her up as I notice Shepherd and head over to him.
Yeah, you sling her arm around. Are you carrying the child for her?
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid is frail. He's maybe 7 or 8 years old, but he couldn't weigh more than 50 pounds. And he is barely breathing. His every breath sounds like it could be his last. The kid... and the breath begins to return to the child as you see a nasty, nasty wound on his side is slowly starting to knit itself, and what looked to be infection starts to clear up on his side, and he begins to breathe easier. And the mother just breaks down in tears, and she's just thanking you over and over and over and over again as she's just like sobbing that you've saved her son.
Are there any more stragglers?
After she kind of recoups herself, she goes, It's, I haven't had time to look. I've just been holding him, doing what I can. Maybe at the keep some may have made it, but I escaped to the streets. They got my son, but he'll be okay. But my husband and my daughter are gone. And she begins to just break back down in tears.
Yeah, I'll spend the rest of my time like just looking for anyone like her, just like any stragglers.
Every once in a while, you find the occasional straggler who's
Yeah.
just desperately like almost just mindlessly just pulling this rubble apart. You see occasionally one of them will pull up a ruined family heirloom. The devastation here is absolute.
I'm just gonna like start gathering them up.
Sounds good. You're just gonna start collecting survivors.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you doing the same with him?
Yeah, I'll just be there with them.
All right. You're going next. All right. So we'll kind of do you two together, to be honest, because you guys are going together. As you guys get to the city and that same stench hits you, it is just, at this point, burnt everything. It is just a putrid. Walking through the streets makes your gut turn. Every street you go down, you can see dead bodies laying everywhere. The street is almost red with blood. Whatever happened here was a massacre. There seems to be no order to what happened here. Everything has been burnt. Everything has been slaughtered. Nothing was left to stand here. As you guys pick your way towards the keep, you get closer and you see the doors, the gates to the curtain wall of the keep have been shattered open. Several of its sections of walls have collapsed inward on itself, and it is still smoldering from the fire that was lit here.
Shall we go in? Let's enter. Baron!
go.
Anybody?
As you guys enter into the little courtyard here, you see a couple what look like maybe serving people or servants that were here in the keep are kind of just standing around. Some are picking through the rubble. Some just kind of don't really seem to even know what to do with themselves as they just stand shell-shocked at the state of what has become of their town.
Excuse me. Where's your Baron? Where's anyone? The lady.
Serving girl turns to you and she's like, "The Baron is somewhere in there." And she points towards the ruins of the castle. Parts of the castle still do stand. You can assume that a couple of the rooms might still be intact.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm gonna go on the search for the Baron then. That's who I'm looking for.
All right. You guys come in through the door, and as you guys go through the door of the keep, you can see that the entranceway has had its wall crumbled in, and the room that lies before you has been overturned, ransacked, and lit aflame. And a man sits upon a stool now. He sits upon this wooden stool next to this crumbled, broken, what looks to probably be a relatively nice throne. And he just sits there. His head is in his hands. He's wearing nicer clothes, and he's just head down, staring at the ground.
Now that is no look for a king.
And he looks up, and he's like, "I am no king. I was just but a bannerlord. But as you can see, my fiefdom is ruin."
That's what I want to know.
And he kind of turns to you.
What happened? I know that your fiefdom is destroyed, razed, and rubbled. But there is something you can do. We can find them.
2 nights ago, we hadn't heard anything from the outer villages in a couple days. And so I sent some men out, and they never came either. And then it all happened 2 nights ago. They swarmed the walls. They came from the trees. It was like a wave of these shutters, rats. They swarmed the walls. My guard was well trained, but the sheer numbers. And he kind of looks at his hands, and they begin to tremble. And he's like, "There's nothing we could have done." They screamed in a language I could not understand, but they had been whipped forward by these men. There was an assortment of them. I watched from my keep as my city burned to ash.
Did you see who? How many? Do you
There
know
was-
a motive?
Too many to count.
But what led them? From the back, you said there's someone pushing.
They screamed for a book that we kept. In my town, we kept a library of texts. We assumed that since we were a smaller town, it would be safer for the texts to be here, as no one would suspect such artifacts would be kept here. We kept them in the basement for safekeeping. But they're gone. Everything. It's just gone.
Nothing's ever completely gone.
And he looks at you with these you can see these are the eyes of a shattered man. My fiefdom, my people, you have seen the streets.
Do you not feel the urge to avenge your people? Do you
What?
just sit and loathe as this man stomps on you and everything that you've known?
I have nothing to avenge with. My God is gone, my people slaughtered. I am left here to watch over
You may not
ruins.
Nothing.
There is nothing left for me except a life of destitute, solitary loneliness. There is
Let us
nothing left for me
help
to repair. Help me. How? And he kind of slams his hand down.
I may not be able to give you the monetary needs. I can't rebuild your kingdom, but I can bring the man who raised it.
I don't know who did it. They didn't stop. They didn't ask. They raved. They looted. They
But where did
pillaged.
they
They
go?
burned. Southwest, they tore off to the west with everything that they took. And whatever they didn't take, as you can see, they burned. They burned everything. They left nothing. It's like they didn't want us to exist anymore. I don't even know what they took. The knowledge of the books below was never passed on to me. It was only my duty to guard them, and I have failed.
May I take a look at this library?
Look at whatever's left. I have nothing left to show you. And he just kind of returns and he just puts his head back down in his hands.
I'm gonna make my way to that library.
You guys go down a couple flights of stairs into a pretty musty and dark basement, but it's cool in a kind of like a cave. And eventually you find the door to the library and you open it, and as you open it, you can see it's a mess. It is an absolute mess in here. Every single bookshelf has been toppled over. Books cover the floor. Most of them have been burned. Most of these books have been burned. There's the occasional book that you can pick up and it's still charred.
Could we try to find something that what they could think it could be? Like a sign, like this is like this is an important book.
If you guys would like to roll an investigation check, you can.
16.
11.
So you are able, as you kind of start prestidigitationing everything and just kind of sorting things and moving things around, you find this bookshelf that had been shattered and thrown up against the wall. And as you clear it away, you can see that there's a disconnect between the bricks and there's a slight gap. And you're able to kind of get your fingers in there and you open it up. And in there is maybe a 6-foot long hallway about as wide as this, 3-ish feet.
I'll
And
cast light on my staff so I can see.
the light fills the room, and you can see what laid in here was 5 pedestals that presumably used to hold books, but are all now empty. Being from a magical background, as you kind of look closer at these, you can see underneath each pedestal there was a glyph of warding. So these books were protected, but somehow these glyphs didn't trigger. They were nullified, and the books were taken without these glyphs going off. And as you study a bit closer, you can see that these glyphs were meant to destroy the books that laid upon them if they were taken off.
I have an idea when we get back up to the surface.
All right. As you guys come up, the Baron lifts his head. He goes, "I hope you found what you are searching for."
You said you had something. If Yes.
I can do a ritual called Speak with Animals.
So you're gonna look for animals.
And I want to cast ritual the spell and then look for birds, perhaps.
It doesn't take you long to find one, and with your telepathic communication, you're able to quickly latch onto one that's nearby. And it's, "Ah! What do you want?"
Raven, do you know what happened here?
Yeah, breakfast. Look at this slaughter. We're eating for days.
Do you perhaps know? Do you know what happened here?
Yeah, these rat things. And a couple of these taller guys that came with them, they seemed to be a bit more knowing about what they were doing. We'd been following them for days. They'd been pillaging the surrounding countryside, and we knew, well, where there's an army, there's a slaughter. You know what they say back in old, my mommy Raven used to say that. We'd always follow the armies around. I love following. There's so much good stuff to just pick, and they got all that shiny stuff too on them most of the time. And I love shiny things. And you asked, what'd you ask?
I asked what happened here, but I think I got the point, and I gotta ask my thing. Do you know where they went?
Yeah, they went southwest. Yeah, it was kind of that. Towards the south, more west than south. But I don't know. I didn't really follow them around because food's here. So why follow when breakfast is already at home? Yeah. And then those tall, dark guys came around. Probably around the same time. They came with the rat guys, but they seemed to be more about business.
And what do these men look like? The tall ones, not the rats.
Well, there was a couple of them. Well, I'd say probably the tall guys. There was maybe like a dozen of them. Real dark, pointy ears, white hair. They kept their hoods up all the time. There was one of them I couldn't really see at all though. He was taller than the rest of them, but he had this hood up the whole time. He didn't really like going out in the light. When we were circling the camp, he always stayed in the tent until they were moving and stuff. But he never really took his hood off or anything. He was I don't know, he was scary. He could speak to me he was weird.
He could speak to you?
Not really, but kind of like you are. It was kind of like in my head. Whoa, I never really thought that hard. In my head.
All right, I want to go back and relay the information.
All right.
Well, it sounds that it could be a
Vampire. Rats. Dark elves. Nightwoods? If there's a man who does not like the sunlight, would it not make sense to be in the place where it's perpetual night?
I think the Nightwoods is our call.
So we plan to go straight west?
Yeah. So with the people I've gathered, I guess kind of how many people?
What stands before you is maybe 30 people.
Should we take care of these people?
I'm going to talk to the Baron, and then we are going to head to the capital to give these people a home and perhaps organize some sort of group to stand against these Nightwoods. It'd be dangerous to go just alone by ourselves.
This is what I'm imagining. We're all posted up. I'm sitting on my wolf, okay? We're all sitting in front of this town, all right? We're like, you people, everyone.
You're giving a speech.
See?
Give me the speech. Hit me. What stands before you is your 3 party members.
Mm-hmm.
The Banner Lord, who has equipped his armor once again. It's a shining plate mail. It's got his family crest in the center. A group of maybe a dozen or so serving maids and stable boys that made it through the slaughter, and a couple other stragglers that have come in from different places or who have been hiding somewhere. And what stands before you is maybe a collection of 50 people.
All right. Sitting there in front of everyone, all right? We're posted up. There is nothing left of your home. Everything you've lost, loved ones, items of dear importance. I, too, have been in your place. My whole family, gone, destroyed. I sought vengeance and nothing more. Yes, sometimes this blinds me, but sometimes it's a reason to keep going. All of you people, we have seen the destruction that these, what are they called again? These Skaven, these rat bastards, they take lives. Please, if you will help us, we can prevent them from taking the lives of more. Are you with me? And I take out my sword and just, yeah!